Coming up, Allan Havey joins Illeana in just a minute.
Welcome to Popcorn Talk, featuring movie discussion, news, and interviews. Popcorn Talk. We talk movies.
And now, it's the I Blame Dennis Hopper podcast, starring Illeana Douglas. Eavesdrop with Illeana as she interviews Hollywood's most prominent players about filmmaking, acting, and what really happens on the set of your favorite flicks and TV shows.
Hello, everyone. I am Illeana Douglas. Welcome to the I Blame Dennis Hopper podcast. I'm here with my lovely co-host, Tamara.
Hello, dear. How are
there.
you?
I'm great, and I'm very excited to be talking to Allan Havey, a longtime friend.
Yeah.
Who finally is off the road for long enough. He's an actor and a comedian to be on my show. Fun fact, Allan Havey, who had his own talk show back in the 90s called Night After Night. It was the very first talk show I was ever on.
Really?
Yes, it was very innovative, and I think he was in the old, well, he'll tell us if it was in the CBS. It was either down in the 20s, the building, or it was the CBS building, but the producer...
In New York.
The producer of his show was Scott Carter, who later went on the Bill Maher, did Politically Incorrect with Bill Maher.
Oh, wow.
So from having me be on Allan's show, they pegged me to be on Politically Incorrect.
So what was it like doing your first talk show?
Oh, I was terrified, and I said to Allan, he was teasing me because I still have the VHS. I have not had them transferred, and he said, "Don't say that on the air. It dates us." But I have the VHS. I did my own hair,
Wow, yeah.
So I believe it was Hot Roller City.
Nice.
I think I had a big flip.
swoop.
Yeah, I had a big flip. That was like sort of the look that I was going for. And Allan had an audience of one. That was sort of one of the innovative things that he did. So it was mainly the crew laughing, so it was sort of like the Tom Snyder show.
Right.
But I got to do, I did all of my little preview. I don't exactly know if I did, but if I did Letterman like right around the same time, or maybe I did Allan's show directly after I did Letterman. I'm not.
And did you know Allan before you went on his show?
I did not. I was very intimidated by him
right.
because he was a very hot comedian. He was on Letterman, and he was very sort of famous at the time.
Yeah.
So I went on, just tried to be as funny as possible, told my little, I don't know, my silly jokes or whatever. I don't really know what I talked about. I tried to be like charming and have moxie. That was my.
Well, it's one of the things you do.
That was my one good thing. And then Allan, but we stayed in contact. I saw him at Aspen Comedy Fest a number of times, and then we later kind of reconnected through Paul Mazursky, who used to have the little morning coffee klatch at Farmer's Market.
Oh.
And Allan was a part of that.
Wow.
Yes, along with Ronnie Shell and George Siegel and all the sort of regulars. So then I tapped him to play my stalker on the Easy to Assemble show, which we're going to talk about too. But and he's a huge movie buff, and I remember that all the way back to when I was on his show. But we always see each other at the TCM Film Festival.
Nice.
And I think we disagree violently on films, though.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, I think we got in a big fight, like during El Dorado or something. I was with my, I think I was with my friend, another comedian. Don't have two comedians at the same screening is what I'm saying.
Okay.
I was sitting in the middle, and I had Wayne Fetterman on one side and Allan Havey on the other side. And I think Allan was like making comments anti-El Dorado. And that
Wayne was on the pro side.
Yeah, it didn't go over so well, so I was just sitting in the middle. But it's always fun just to, Allan's so funny, of course, and irreverent, to be with someone watching movies who's also, a big movie buff. And he just recommended, I love film biographies, he just recommended Frank Langella's biography, which he said is fantastic. So now after I finish my other books, I'm reading now about the love affair of Jeanette MacDonald and Nelson Eddy. They never married, but apparently they carried on for years and years. I
Really?
believe the book is called Sweethearts, but don't quote me on that. But anyway, I'm in the middle of that. The stack is getting down, so I've got that. I've got another book, and then it's on to Frank Langella. It'll be a good summer.
Nice. Excellent.
But anyway,
Should we bring in Allan?
let's bring in Allan.
do
You know
it.
what's great about comedians
Sorry,
are
everybody.
such great actors too. When you think about Steve Martin, and Jerry Lewis, and they're always so good in dramatic parts. But Allan, who I said I've known for all these many years, is both an actor and a comedian. He's best known for his roles in Hail Caesar, which is the Coen Brothers movie. He was in Steven Soderbergh's film The Informant, and also in Hancock, and his TV roles include Billions. I See You peripherally, Man in the High Castle, and of course, your turn in Mad Men was unbelievable. Please welcome Allan Havey. Hi, Allan. Hello, Allan.
Finally.
Does it?
I get to be on your talk show.
I know it took all these years. Do you have any?
Hang on, I can't hear you.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead. There
Do
you
you?
go.
Do you have any recollections of me from that show?
I thought you were really cute.
You did?
Oh yeah, I had a big crush on you.
What?
And I think I expressed that in Aspen when I saw you years later.
I know.
And then, but you were
weren't
you
you
were
engaged?
dating some guy, and you were married. No, I wasn't engaged. You were married,
Oh.
or you were engaged.
I think I was engaged.
And-
Yeah.
But you didn't have a ring on because you were making meatballs and you took it off and you forgot. See, these are the
Wow.
things I remember. Yeah.
Well,
That's
maybe
a lot to
maybe that's the story I told you.
Yeah. Well, you didn't follow up on it.
I was trying to I remembered that, you know, of course you had the audience of one, which was very innovative people, and then you had the crew, which I said was very much like the Tom Snyder show, which I always love. They don't do that anymore, where you can just hear the crew laughing.
Yeah,
I
know.
love that.
I think, pardon the interruption, the sports show during the day on ESPN, sometimes you can hear their crew laugh. But it was a weird thing because we had audience of one.
Yeah.
Talking about night after night.
Yeah.
And then my crew would come in and, you know, they'd hang out for the show.
Yeah.
And I'd have to make the same audience laugh every day, in a way.
Yeah.
But I never played to them. You know, I was playing to some guy sitting in his living room or
Yeah.
some woman, you know. And but it was fun. It was a different skill set for me at the time.
I know. Well, I want to get to that because there's so many crossovers. I said Scott Carter discovered me from that show, and then later when he did Politically Incorrect, tapped me.
Oh yeah, no, a lot of people. That was your first talk show. There were
Yeah.
a lot of people whose first talk show it was, and some whose last talk show,
Yes.
and some whose only talk show. So
Who was you? Do you remember who your booking guest was? It wasn't Hank Gallo, was it?
no, Beth O'Day.
Oh, okay.
You mean the person who booked the guests?
Well, because this is always this is this very narrow part of my career where for 90 seconds I did stand-up comedy.
Yeah, I remember that. Not as well as you losing the ring of the meatballs, but I do remember you did stand.
Yes.
You
And
told me you did stand.
At only one club, Stand Up New York, because I could walk to it. And, you know, the minute, as I've told this story, the minute I heard I had to go other places, I was like, what? What do you mean you go to the comedy cell?
That's where your laziness would have served you well later, but not at the beginning. Do you know what I mean? Comedians are notoriously lazy, but at the beginning they're not. You can't be. It's just impossible unless you get really lucky.
I can't, I mean, I'm skipping all around, but the idea of doing the same 15-minute set of jokes, like literally an hour later, and then getting so nervous. See, the nerves is what got to me. The absolute terror of being backstage, and you go, well, can't do that. Okay, they just did that joke. You know, because everything when you're starting out, for me anyway, was topical. So if anybody
Right.
else did your thing, I'd be like, okay, well, I'm down to 5 minutes.
One of the many pitfalls of a beginning comedian. And here's the thing about stand-up comedy.
Yeah.
You can't rehearse. You cannot practice at home.
Yeah.
There is no, you
Yeah.
have to have an audience. You can
Yes.
play the clarinet, the banjo. You can do monologues as an actor. You can
Yeah.
you can go over or study the character. And in stand-up, you still have to do the homework, but you don't have a clue when you get on that stage.
Yeah.
And psychologically, that's a little harrowing.
I was always surprised at, like, again, people laughing. Like, I know it sounds silly, but the things that you really think are funny, no one laughs.
Yeah, there's
And
that.
then the thing, you go, I just made a funny face, and that got the biggest laugh of the night. And now that means that's part of my act now.
Where you said something you didn't mean to say, and you got to laugh.
And then do you
Yeah.
continue? Do you have
Well,
to
no,
do it
then,
every?
I mean, at first it kind of throws you off a little bit.
Right,
Wait a
right.
minute, that's not the joke. But then you realize you get your own flow. But again, you got to go up constantly, anywhere, not just what's in your neighborhood. Can you imagine?
Stand up New
Well,
York.
I would have gotten movies, but Warner Brothers was right down the street, so I went there. But I didn't go over to Paramount. You know.
that was me, the laziest.
Yeah, we can book Douglas, but it has to be near home.
Plus, I didn't have any money, so it'd be like, normally I would be turnstile jumping, so I probably didn't want to let other people.
Oh, you should have gotten a con. What
Oh.
year were you getting in there? The money was huge.
It was
get
all
$5.
all I remember was Judy
down.
Gold. She's like, yeah, you did stand up with me for 90 seconds, and then oh my God, Wendy Liebman. Wendy Liebman
Oh.
was doing comedy.
Two really good comedians.
Yeah,
there.
and
they're still doing it.
Yeah, and they're still doing it. So it was right around this time. The minute I hooked up with Scorsese, I was like, I'm not doing
Yeah,
this.
yeah.
I'm outta
If I
here.
would have hooked up with him, I would have been out.
I'm not doing it. But he came to see me do stand up, which was I used to do this.
I would love to hear his stand-up notes. Yeah, well, you start out there, then you work over that segue.
No, he loved my favorite bit. I did a bit called Raging Bullwinkle, and he really liked that. It was as if we were preordained to be together. And when I was on Goodfellas, he would literally make me do that routine,
Ooh.
which was absolute.
Did you hate that when he
Oh,
did that?
I was horrified. I was horrified.
My dad would say, Bernice, get down. Do Howard Cosell for the people. Like if people were over or were at a
Yeah.
parish function. God, I hated it. It was fun to do it, on your own terms.
Spontaneous, yeah. But nothing like Robert De Niro and Joe Pesci
Yeah.
looking at you like, this better be funny or I'm going to whack you. Okay.
Yeah, that's another thing. Bombing in front of your heroes is a tough one. I did that. It happened a couple of years ago. Sports heroes: Joe Namath, Willis Reed.
What do you mean bombing? I can't imagine you ever bombing.
Yeah, no, it was this thing at the West. I had to host something, and I got off on the wrong foot. And when you're out there and Joe Namath's just looking at you like, "What's your problem?" Dick Enberg was there. And I admire these men
Yeah.
for many years, and they're just looking at you like, and a little, and then you see the pity look, and oh my God, oh my God, I didn't bomb, but I did kind of, and then I got better as the night went on. So
Right.
so it wasn't a total.
Well, is it like acting? Because I know when you're acting in a scene on play where you're like, oh God, I'm bad. I'm really bad. My training kicks in and you're just supposed to stop everything and do moment to moment connecting. If you feel that you're bad, do you have that ability or is it just panic?
It never really happened in acting, I haven't done a hell of a lot of it, but I've done enough. So I do my prep. I go in, and I'll figure if they don't like it, they're going to say something. And
Right.
if they don't say something, I don't care if the other actor's being a dick, and that's happened a couple times. I don't care what their opinion is.
Right.
I'm just worried about the director. I don't care where the camera is. I assume my hair looks good. There's all these people that, I'm just in for that minute, that scene. I just want to be there. I'm not there to be anybody's friend, and I've had some actors play games with me, but very
Terrible.
few, and you don't know who they are.
Okay, we're going to get to all of that, especially aside from being easy to assemble, being my stalker. You were the best stalker ever. That was my fantasy to do. I wanted to do a whole show about that, of how I thought that we would eventually be dating. Like that to me just seemed the
God, I
funniest
missed
thing.
out on all. We missed out in Aspen.
Yep.
You were night after night. We're gonna meet like in our 80s, and well, I'll be in my 80s. You'll be in your 70s.
Yes, I'll still be spry.
Yeah. I like him young.
One more good year in me.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's 75. I like him young.
We're going to get to all that. Okay, my favorite question. What's the first movie? I can't wait. I cannot wait. The first movie you saw, and who took you to see it?
Well, I remember seeing Wizard of Oz on TV.
Yes.
And Pollyanna.
Right.
You know, but my dad took my brother and I to see The Longest Day. I was like 8 or 9.
Uh-huh.
And it was at an indoor theater, but at night.
Okay.
And this blew my mind because I thought indoor theaters were just built so you can go to movies during the day, keeps the sun out. Usually
Right.
you can just go to a drive-in.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's night we're going indoors, and we sat, and it was during the week. It was on a school night. Fantastic.
Yeah.
I remember my dad coming, Bernice, I'm taking the boys to see The Longest Day. It's about time they learned about what their old man did. You were in the South Pacific. Yeah. So,
WW2.
yeah. So we went, and we sat in the front row of the smoking lodge.
Oh, my
You know.
God.
And I remember, first the movie unfolded. Remember Eddie Albert was the first star that I knew that you saw
Yeah.
in the movie. But I remember looking up where the film was coming out of, because that hole was so magic to me. Where
Yeah.
that light came out of, and all the smoke,
Right.
all the cigarette, because a lot, you know, it was 62.
Yeah.
And it was just mind blowing. I was the only kid at school that had gone to The Longest Day. And it was during the week. It was like, I saw it last night. You
Yeah.
did not. Yeah, my dad took me and my brother last night. So I really, you know, and it was a tough movie to watch because some really top actors who always on television, John Wayne never really died,
Yeah.
got killed.
Yeah.
And so I was kind of wigged out by that a little bit. But it had a huge effect on me. And I saw it like 6 years ago. It was back at Turner Classic Film Fest.
Right.
It was Bob Osborne and Robert Wagner talking about it.
Yeah.
And I met Red Buttons years ago through a mutual friend. And the first thing I asked him, hey, in The Longest Day, I go, you're on that bell tower. You know, how long did it take to shoot? And
Yeah.
Daryl Zanuck flew him out of there, flew him back. He goes, we had to wear 70-pound knapsacks because it was real. So, you know, I go from seeing this movie, it blew me away when I was a kid, and now I get to ask a guy who was actually in the movie.
Yeah.
So I you know, that was I didn't even have that dream when I was a kid. I wouldn't dare dream about that, you know. So that was a big deal for me.
And did you go? So then, I always love to ask who you went with. Was your dad really the movie lover?
Yes.
Yeah.
My dad. I went with my brother. My brother likes movies, but he didn't get into it like I did. My dad loved old
And
movies.
it's like a drug, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is, or it was when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And to follow up on that, one night, here's what I would do. Every Sunday, I'd look in the TV section of the Sunday paper, because, you know, and find out what was playing the late
Yes.
show the next Saturday.
Yeah, me too.
You know.
Me too.
And so if I would look at the stars, and there's a movie that had 4 or 5 stars. I go, wow, this must be good. So the next, you know, I didn't have to put in a calendar. It was in my head all week. And that Saturday, everybody was in bed. My dad, who kind of liked to stay up late, and he turned me on to Johnny Carson. That's another story. But I stayed up to watch it, and this movie just blew my mind. And then the ending, it just punched me in the stomach and said, good night, kid. And the movie was I'm a Fugitive from a Chain Gang.
Oh,
with
yeah.
Paul
Paul
Muni.
Muni.
And no one could talk about it at school. I had nobody to talk about it with.
Right.
I wasn't supposed to be up, so I had to sneak out.
Right.
You know, sometimes my dad would watch Carson with me. He goes, I'm going to go back and take a nap with your mom, and I'll be out later. You know.
Yeah.
I didn't, you know, now I know what was going on. But there were nights when, you're not going to watch any TV tonight, okay, and they'd go to sleep, have a few cocktails, they'd go to bed, and when they were deep in sleep, I'd sneak back out and watch
Yeah.
old movies. Loved it.
Wow.
Yeah. And so did you first wanted to be an actor before becoming a comedian? Was that?
Yeah, that was the thing. Well, here in kindergarten, and I've told this story on the podcast, but I guess it's worth repeating because it happened so young. I went to a Catholic grade school, and for the graduation ceremony, they were going to have nuns and a little nun and a little priest to lead the school. So they were auditioning us, basically. And they brought in a big tape recorder, 1960, huge reels, tape recorder, microphone as big as your head. And the nun would say, all right, you're going to get up here and you're going to say your name loud and clear. And whoever does it the best is going to play the part of the priest, and whatever girl does it best is going to play the nun, okay? Boom. Okay, so I was one of the last. I always stayed in the corner. So I was one of the last guys to go up, and then they played it back. They played every, remember, and then they came to my name, Allan Havey, and all the kids looked at me, and I got the part. So
Oh my
I
God.
nailed my first audition, and the performance, I just remember in 1960, adults did not pay attention to you. It's hard to imagine today.
Oh no, I
Seen and not heard was not just an expression, it was a philosophy that was carried out hither and yon, and had diversity in every ethnicity. It was,
Yeah.
But I remember adults looking at me, smiling and laughing, and a priest came up and patted me on the head, and I was just, that had to be where I got the bug. I
Yeah.
like to make people laugh, so I really enjoyed making the other kids laugh, my parents laugh.
Yeah.
But I really wanted to be an actor. I didn't want to be a comedian, even when I was studying theater.
Mm-hmm.
But in high school, they said, called me and said, you can't be a comedian all your life. What are you going to do? I said, I'm going to be a theater major. And they go, you need to get a job. You need to think of, something you can make money with.
Right.
You're out of your mind. And I'm not even exaggerating.
Yeah.
Then I get to college and I'm in, theater major, and one of the acting teachers called me. He goes, "You ever think of stand-up? You'd be a good stand-up comedian." So I got the exact 180, degrees advice from my high school counselor to college. So when I got to New York, I had a comedy partner in college, John McFarlane, and we were pretty good. And we went to New York and tried it. And then I realized I want to do this on my own.
Were there actors that you thought, like when I was growing up, I thought I was going to be like Deborah Winger or Richard Dreyfuss. Those are people that I sort of emulated. Liza Minnelli.
You were going to be like Richard Dreyfuss? That would
Yeah.
be quite a stretch.
Well, that's. I thought I would see. So were there people like that for you that you thought?
Well, when I was a kid, I was a big Jimmy Stewart. I just kind of related to Jimmy Stewart
yeah,
in a big way.
I could see that. You have this sort of cadence.
Yeah.
Of
Do you know me, Mary? And,
when in doubt.
Robert Mitchum. But I also like the character actors, too.
Yeah.
But there was no one I wanted to be like, I
Like
knew
a Walter Matthau type or Jason Robards.
No.
I always love the supporting characters like that.
Me too. But, when I got into college and I started doing plays and stuff, I said, I just want to be an actor. I don't care. And if I can't be an actor, I want to be in this business in some way, shape, or form.
Right. You just wanted to be, you're like me. You were like, I just want to be in show business.
Yeah.
How do you get in?
Yes.
Yeah, that was how I felt.
And during summers down in Miami, where I was raised, Coconut Grove Playhouse, they would, they knew me, or I gave my number, and they called me in to run lights
Yeah.
for Old Calcutta and some of the productions they had down there.
Oh, Calcutta.
Yeah, and then when I went up to New York, I was living in Hell's Kitchen, and the play was right down the street at the Edison. So I went by, gave the guy my number, go, I did tech on this down in Miami if you need, because I was looking for work.
Yeah.
And a guy was taking a week off, so it was running sound and working a projector. So he took me through it one night. He goes, "Hey, you're good at this, blah blah blah. You can do this. You want to do this for a week? You get like $400, and you can join the union." And I said, no, because the money I couldn't have passed it up. And I said, it's not. I want to try that first.
Right.
Maybe in a couple of years I'll come back and. Because that's where my passion was, to be in front of the people or be in front of the camera. Because, being a ham as a little kid, growing up, you got used to that.
So when you were in New York, which I never knew you had a comedy partner, were there any sort of comedians? Who were some of the other people that you were coming across? And
A guy who also had a comedy partner for a while, this guy named Nathan Lane.
I never knew that
Yeah.
Nathan Lane was. Oh my God, that's amazing.
And then he started doing stand-up and
Interesting.
Yeah, and here's what I love about the business too. Okay, Nathan does his bit one night of Groucho Marx through the years, in the 30s, the 50s, and his
I
last
love it. I mean,
performance.
I love it.
He does the voices. He does it. It's like maybe a 5-minute bit, and it's in this bar called Callback on 8th Avenue, where theater people.
Yeah.
But he wasn't known then.
Yeah.
And I'm watching this, and it blew me away. And I said to myself, which I do a lot because I'm a comedian. I said, if this guy does not make it in this business, then it's a bull. It's not a good business.
Yeah.
Boom. My two favorite comedians coming up were Larry David and Jerry Seinfeld.
Wow.
And I'm thinking, if something doesn't happen for these guys, and
Yeah.
I know them, and you know, so I've seen people like Dave Chappelle. I saw him when he was 17 coming in. I
Right.
remember when Chris Rock started. You know, and you say, well, these guys have it, or you know, Amy Schumer, thank you, and Michelle Wolf. Just you know, I mean, I know she was on TV, but just you know, a couple years ago, I saw her go. She's got something, you know.
Right. And is that an ability to connect? I mean, in movies, I guess they call it like it, but is it just, I feel like it's just a presence that's beyond funny jokes.
Yes.
It's a connection with the audience. You like the you know, the one I felt that like the very first time I saw Drew Carey, like it didn't really matter what he said.
Right.
It's just that I was like, who is this guy with the glasses and the persona and
It's a likability. A lot of it's
Yeah.
likability, and they don't have to open their mouth. I mean,
no,
remember,
yeah, you're key. You want to hear what they say.
when Chappelle would get on stage, he'd get up there, he'd smile. Nobody knew him, and you see people just sit up. They loved him. He
Yeah.
didn't even. They hey, who is this? You know,
Yes.
they just have that energy. And then, of course, you have to have good material and good chops and everything.
Thank God.
But also, he's hosting the Tonight Show now.
Jimmy Fallon.
Yeah, thank you, Jimmy Fallon. I'm sorry, it's been a long day. I'm so glad to be here. This is so civilized.
Is the eighth podcast?
No,
you've done.
no. It's only the second one this year, but the second one today. So Jimmy Fallon, he opened for me a couple times down at Orange County at Irvine. They loved him. They didn't want him to leave. You know, he'd do his 20 minutes. He's
Really?
great. He's professional.
Yeah.
I go, that's my dad. Like, no, stay. His stage presence was so good. He was, and a great guy.
Yes.
Just a nice man. And, you know, I know guys who kill on stage, destroy an audience. People don't like them off stage, or there's just something about them.
Right.
Or they blow it, you know, they get a pilot, or they're, you know, mean, or I don't want to work with this guy. And then if they do get something going, you know, it's always a problem.
Right.
You know, there's always a problem. Now, I'm sure the men and women I've just mentioned have problems and they handle it, but I think it's always a part of you on stage. It's always kind of a part of you in a lot of parts, not all parts. And it's that energy, and it's likability, it's a presence, or it's an honesty. You know.
So when you were doing that, and then you got tapped to do the talk show, did you ever stop doing stand up? Like, so you were doing it
Because I had a buddy
simultaneously.
who got a game show on MTV, and the day he got that game show, he stopped stand up.
Right.
Yeah, and
Well, that was the era.
yeah,
You know,
but
you were stand up, and then you go do a sitcom, and then you never.
but you
did
never. Ray Romano hasn't stopped doing stand up. Certainly
Right.
Seinfeld. No, you know, because it's important to you. It's not just a rung on a ladder. But this guy quit, and you know he did fine and stuff like that. But he got away from stand up.
Right.
Every weekend, every single weekend, I did that talk show. I was working either on the road or in a club or doing a corporate gig somewhere. Because I knew that the talk show wouldn't last.
Right.
It could go 10 years. It could go 6 weeks.
Right.
You know.
But you didn't know, and
Because I learned all the rules of show business, because my dad would wake me up to watch Carson, and I would hear all the stories. So once I got in the business, nothing beat me back. And I've been humiliated on stage. I've gone to auditions, and I should have been shot, you know? And I just kept going and going and going, because I said, no, I've heard about this. This
Yeah.
happened to Buddy Hackett back in '67, or, you know.
God, that's such a good philosophy. I take everything so personally.
Yeah.
Even though I do agree with you, but I'm flummoxed that the rules of show business are somehow disregarded now. So I'm following the rules of show business, and when others are not.
Well, yes, I follow the rules of show business, and they're very simple rules, and people still don't have that. Now, here's the thing: every generation of performers has complained about the same thing.
That no one is following.
Yeah, and but we
vaudeville-
know it's
the
going
vaudevillians.
it's going to unravel. You know, like someday for millennials, manners are going to be cool.
No.
You know,
Oh my God.
reading a book is
Yeah.
cool. You know,
That's well, always thought that the number one thing was like, don't be mean to people because, next week you may see them or need them or something. That rule has somehow been thrown out. That's.
Well, but that catches up to those people, unless they're making a ton of money.
Here's another rule. When you did the talk show, do you, you do a lot of research on the people. And so
Right. Or Beth O'Day, who was the guest producer at that time for the guest segment. Did.
But you wouldn't be, so many times when I was promoting my book, they were like, so, Illeana, I see that you did films with, and you're sitting there going.
And here's the thing. It takes them 2 minutes.
I know.
Oh, Illeana Douglas, IMDb. Oh, okay.
Just get three things.
You could do your research in 15, 20 minutes.
I know. Well, don't go to Wikipedia because it's always wrong. That's what would upset me. Is like I said, oh my God, they went to Wikipedia and everything on it is not right.
Really?
Yeah.
You can change that.
I've tried, but anonymous has more pull than me. That's another weird rule of show business. I was of the rule of show business. I want to be like Merle Oberon that just made up, like she was a princess and she came from India and was married to a count, the end. Then you just see her in the movies. I think there's a little bit too much private information about family members and that takes away a little bit of the mystique. I would want my 1950s Tony Curtis like PR person to just plant fake stories that are very entertaining, like she dashed in a fountain in Rome and stuff like that.
Now, who is that about? That's from a movie, right?
I
Nude in a fountain.
I mixed two films. I scrambled the birds and then Sweet Smell of Success.
Tippy Hedren.
Yeah.
I met Tippy Hedren.
Yeah, she's great. I've met her too.
Oh man, I'm sorry. I'm a geek. Come here with my little TCM.
I know. We got to do our
t-shirt.
TCM wrap up.
It's the only time during the year I really unplug from the world.
That you never that and the TCM cruise was the other.
Yeah, I can't go on a boat.
Oh really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Well, maybe we can't.
I did comedy on a boat once. That's it.
Comedy on a boat.
Was it because the comedy was bad, or
No. I didn't want to be stuck in this kind of eating
shrimp.
Yeah, everyone was eating. Everyone was fat. And they come up to you and they were nice, but they always had like sweet and sour breath or barbecue ribs something on their face. It was just I live in Santa Monica. I can get sun and water. I don't have to. I like dry land.
Yes. I want to finish up with your talk show. We're going to get to the TCM Film Festival. Did you have a favorite guest that you interviewed?
Besides
Illeana Douglas, of course.
Oh God, I'm shocked to hear you say that, Allan. Go on.
It was fun to have Gay Talese on the show because I had read a lot of his stuff.
Well,
When you sit down with an author.
Oh my God.
Nipsey Russell was fun.
Oh.
Nipsey Russell. He lived at the Paramount Hotel
In New York?
Yeah. He was. They did the conversion, because I used to work when these were my last jobs before I entered show business. I worked for Steve Bell and Ian Schrager at the Paramount, and they completely refurbished the hotel.
So you got free cocaine back then, didn't you?
No, Quaaludes.
Okay.
We didn't get Coke. If we were very good, we were given Quaaludes and lots of liquor. But he liked to give pills out. That was sort of more his thing.
I knew there were drugs in there.
Yeah, if there was Coke, I didn't ever see it.
Right.
But Nipsey Russell was in the hotel, and they couldn't get rid of him because whatever, unless there was him and like two other old sort of
Called Human Rights. That's what it's called.
Yeah, and they were so mad because it would be like, it was this very hip hotel, and
Yeah.
suddenly you'd see Nipsey Russell, like,
He'd be in the lobby. Roses are red, violets are blue.
yes,
You're trying to kick me out.
but
He was known for poetry for you younger watchers and listeners. So I'm being filmed now
yes,
and recorded. This
yes,
is amazing.
it's a vodcast.
Yeah, that's my camera?
Yes.
is.
Okay.
How about Alan King? You interviewed
Yes, Alan King was great.
who also did many films.
Well, and again, a hero, George Carlin.
Oh my God.
Seinfeld was gracious enough to come on the show. He was
Yeah.
really happening then. I asked Larry David to come on,
Mm-hmm.
but he didn't get around to it. I think he wanted to stay away from that kind of thing. My dream guest was Jilly Rizzo Frank Sinatra's bodyguard.
Yes, that's right.
And I thought he might do it, but of course.
But he didn't.
No, and I think he was killed at that time, an auto accident, right around that period. So.
That's what they say.
Yeah, that's what they say.
What about you gave a break to Mike Judge? I thought that was really
Yeah, that was interesting.
it's a nice showbiz.
Talking to hanging
Tip of the
around
hat.
VHS. People would send in there, hey, could you see my comedy tape, Mr. Havey? I did some skits, and so I'd put stuff on, and a lot of it was nice and ambitious, but not that good. And then I put on this cartoon, and it was great. There was 3 of them. I pull it out, get a hold of this guy. So we flew him up. We showed him. We had the rights to him for a while.
Yeah.
And the director, Terry Gilliam, from Monty Python, was a guest that day or the day before, something like that. So I made sure that Mike met Terry Gilliam.
Wow.
Because he was this young kid from Texas, I guess.
Yeah.
He was from. And I went into the people there. I said, you know what? You should do a deal with this guy. I think they did, but they didn't offer him enough money. And someone said, why don't you produce something? I go, well, I'm not a producer. That's not who I am. But then he went on to Beavis and Butthead, and of course.
Of course. He has a great show now called Tales from the Tour Bus.
Yeah, I have not. I've heard about it. I want to see it.
It's a lot of fun.
I bet. But he was real nice, and he's mentioned me in a few articles he's done, so he never forgot that.
I love when people give you credit. That's another rule of show business.
Yes, give people credit.
There's only one person in my entire career has thanked me for, getting him a job. Most people seem to omit that.
Yeah, but you know what? The next time you help someone, you just say, "I'm going to help this person. I don't need to be thanked."
I do it too. I don't care.
Mary Steenburgen was just a big article in the LA Times on Sunday. She goes, "I owe it all to Jack Nicholson."
That's true.
She didn't. That was back in '77.
Yeah.
Now another actress, years later, with all the work that Miss Steenburgen or Ms. Steenburgen has done. Is it Bergen or Bergen? Is it a hard G? I think it's a soft G.
Steenburgen.
Hey kids, write in. The first one gets a popcorn talk coffee mug. Not this time. I bring my own craft services.
Yeah, even though we have delicious snacks.
They do have snacks. Come on.
So your goal when you were in New York, you wanted to actually be on Broadway. Is it hard?
Yes, that was my first goal, to be on Broadway. Still haven't accomplished that. So,
but
everything else.
Right.
Pie eating contests, commercials, anything.
Soap opera?
Reality
I
show?
never
No.
did. I never did a soap opera.
No.
That's the only element of show, and I have not stripped.
But I would be really.
I never find that hard to believe. I have not done any.
Look at you. Look where you draw the line. The Iron Lady of show business. I've been trying to get her clothes off for years.
I've never even been in a strip club. Can you believe it?
Really?
This is not my thing.
They're sad.
That's what my fear is, that I'm gonna try to like talk to the girl and go, why are you doing this?
I've been several times over the years, but I'm not a big fan. But every now and then you'll see a dancer who's really good, and in her eyes she has light. She has life. She's enjoying her job, whether she's the greatest actress in the world or not.
Yeah.
But a lot of times they look sad and bored. I mean, when you're at the airport, especially in Vegas, and you see that really attractive woman with a single carry-on, but her eyes are dead, that's a stripper.
Yeah. Well, or at the Beverly Wilshire Hotel.
Exactly.
I've seen a lot.
Yeah. Or at Chipotle. You see.
Another show that you did, I want to talk about, called The New Show with Steve Martin and John Candy. John Candy.
This is what I like about you. You do your research. Nobody has asked me this question. Nobody remembers it. It's hard to find information out there.
Well, tell me about
The New Show.
Oh my God!
Talk about a dream come true.
I love John Candy. He had such pathos.
Nice. John Candy, Gilda Radner. I shaved next to Randy Newman. Had a nice conversation with him about the Oakland Raiders. And I had to give the longest straight line in the history of comedy to Steve Martin. And I blew it in rehearsal. And he looked at me like, come on. And when Steve Martin is upset with you, it's like having Santa Claus slap you around. So I rehearsed that line for 3 hours and nailed it on the performance taping. You want to hear the line?
Yes.
Sure.
Sir, air defense is on the line. They've sighted unidentified missiles and are ready to launch a massive retaliatory strike.
Oh, good grief. gracious.
And then Steve Martin looks and goes, "Oh, neat," and he got a laugh. So
Yeah.
I set him up, but when I saw it in the table read, there were so many L's in it, and I have
Yeah.
trouble with my L's. I didn't dare. And Lorne Michaels, God bless him, gave me the part. Here's the toughest line in the 12 weeks of this show. You got to deliver. But I did it.
The N's and the L's.
Yeah.
They're not good.
Yeah.
So tell me about John Candy. Did you ever talk to
Yeah, we
about...
hung out with him a little bit. Nice, really nice guy. Dan Vitale, another comedian at the time. We were the only two male comedians in town, and the other woman, I forget, one was Maura Moynihan. I think there were, and I forget the actress's name. She's still working today. But we were like the junior players.
Yeah.
So I got to work with Steve Martin, Gilda Radner, Franken and Davis. I got Noel Franken on the show. Real nice. Alan Zweibel, who was so nice to Danny and myself, because we were new, and you could tell he had empathy. Just a great guy. And then one night at a party, Lauren said to me and Danny, come over. Alan, come on. And we sat down and talked to him for about an hour, which was really...
Did you ever audition for SNL?
No, I called him. He put me on as an extra.
Oh.
But I realized after a night of that, I go, I can't. I want to do stand-up. I'd rather get laughs. It was very gracious of him, but I might have gone on if I had hustled or if I had written something, but my head was getting really good at stand-up. I wanted to be a real good stand-up comedian. I figured if I did that, everything else would, come eventually.
Did you think you were that acting roles? It's not like you gave up thinking you were gonna get acting roles.
No, but the thing about stand-up, it satisfied so many parts of what an actor wants to do. It satisfies your ego. You get work. You get paid right away. You're hanging around with really funny people, and some of them are, just sociopaths, but they're still funny, And that can happen if you work at IBM on Wall Street,
Yeah.
I thought, oh, these
What
are
about the travel though?
these artsy people. I didn't travel that much. I had a low rent and a Hell's Kitchen apartment. I could walk over to the Improv. We drive out to Jersey gigs. They always came to the Improv. So if I hustled,
And you were on Letterman many times.
10 times, 5 on NBC, 5 on CBS, but over a 30-year period.
Was that the scare? I mean, I was on Letterman twice. It was terrifying.
Yeah.
I mean, that was the hardest
Yes, it's very
gig.
Yeah,
I
I mean
can't
the
even
first
imagine.
time was
Yeah.
so nerve-wracking.
Sickening.
And then the second time, I talked to Seinfeld before my second one. He goes, the thing that surprised me for the second time, I was nervous again,
Yeah, terrifying.
But he gave me great advice, and this has gotten around. He said, if you think you're going too slow, slow down. When you're on TV, you think you're going too slow, slow down. And it really has stayed with me, and I've done that, and my last Letterman was probably my best, thank God.
Yeah.
But my right knee was just quivering the whole time. And at one time I looked down to make sure my pants weren't shaking.
Yeah.
They weren't. It was just my knee, just a little bit shaky.
God.
And I felt great.
Plus, it was so cold.
Yeah, but I knew that too.
Well, I did too, but it doesn't matter. They
My-
tell you right before you go on, it doesn't matter. As soon as you step out, you're like, I'm freezing. It's so cold,
My mom, we raised in Miami, came up to see me. My dad had passed away. Mom came up to see an opening, a premiere party for my HBO One Night Stand special I did in 1990. While I was there, the Letterman producer came over and said, can you do the show tomorrow night? And I said, yeah, I got a set ready. I'll do the show. That happened a couple times. Wow. And so I go, Mom, you need to put on a sweater. What? No, you need to bring a coat. You need to bring a sweater. Alan, I go, and I'm like now, reverse roles. You put that sweater, you bring that coat, young lady, or you're not getting in that limo. Because they sent her, HBO was great. They sent her a limo to pick her up at the airport, because this is during the talk show. The Letterman people send a limo to pick you up at home, take you in.
Yeah.
Third night, we're going somewhere, I'm hailing a cab. My mom said, why don't you get a limo? I said, get your ass in that cab.
Yeah.
Took her about 20 minutes to get spoiled.
That was a great time in New York. Did it just feel like you were the mayor of New York? You're on television like every day.
The
so
unofficial mayor of New York. I felt great. And
Yeah.
and for a while there, it wasn't on in New York. I didn't care, but it wasn't. I wasn't recognized a lot for it, but it was great to have your own talk show.
Yeah.
And I didn't want it. And I think that's how I got it, because the audition, I was very, apathetic and just didn't give a damn, and I think that's what appealed.
That became your act?
Yeah. Well, my act, a lot of anger in my act.
Okay, so I want to talk about some of your movies. How did you get cast in Internal Affairs with Richard Gere?
I auditioned for it. I was lost in it. Mike Figgis did not enjoy me.
Why?
I don't know. I couldn't get a handle on it. It's not,
Awful,
yeah,
isn't it?
Yeah.
I've had that.
Yeah. Couldn't get a handle on it. Thought it. And I'm watching the movie.
Gets
Go,
in your
who's this
head.
guy? That's horrible. I go, that's me. Holy crap. I thought it was bad.
Did you? And you can't ever ask the person why they don't like you.
No, I didn't care about that. His direction to me was do something.
Oh,
Do something. Okay. Thank you. And Gere said, he was talking to me, he goes, what's? I go, this scene's not going to make the movie. Scene's going to make the movie. Gere goes, will you stop? The scene's going to make the movie. And he was being nice about it.
Right.
And it was his comeback film.
Right.
Because his career wasn't going that well for a movie star.
Yeah.
And that movie really brought him back because he was really good in that. It was a good film. I really liked the film. I didn't like me. And but Gere said, no, it's going to be in. Don't worry, I know this.
Right.
Scene wasn't in the movie.
Well, it's interesting when you have an experience like that because that is where training, so you don't get in your head, the director doesn't like you, you kind of got to hook into something else.
Yeah.
Your character, do something physical or something. Do something.
Yeah. Well, when you asked me that question earlier, I didn't think of Internal Affairs, but that would be the movie where the other actors were great. No one was mean to me, but it was just kind of vague. And then
Sometimes, you know what I think it is that when you have a small part like that, they haven't really thought about you. And so they're looking at the big picture and then you come in.
that's fine.
No,
Yeah,
I know.
I know. Yeah.
No,
yeah.
I'm not saying it's good. I'm just
No,
saying,
but if I'm there and it's not happening,
Yeah.
then now this is like I'm a problem actor, okay?
right.
Do something, help the kid out.
Well, but they're thinking about, I've had that experience where they're thinking about the big star.
Gere was fine. He was nailing it every scene. Andy Garcia was great. He was fantastic. There's no one. I was the only one with the problem.
It's Allan Havey
Yeah,
that
come
needed
on.
help.
Throw the kid a bone.
Have you ever met?
Give a part to the girl in the chorus.
Have you ever met Mike Figgis?
Years later,
And
just recently at the farmer's market.
did you punch him in the nose?
No,
what'd you do?
we're sitting there talking.
He
I go,
doesn't even know you.
Oh, I worked together, and I think it dawned on him because as we were talking. It was at the farmer's market. I said,
Yeah.
because he's working with someone over there. I said, yeah, I was on. We started talking about movies.
Yeah.
And I said, what are you doing? He goes, I'm trying to get this project together. And
Yeah.
like that. I said, that's good. He goes, what are you doing? I go, well, I'm an actor, but I'm also a comedian, so I can work anytime I want. It's fantastic, and I really. I was not shy about telling him, hey, good luck with this directing thing.
That's that's tough. That's not nice to do. Okay, what about what about Steven Soderbergh? I've never met him.
Great.
Love him, as I've talked about all the time. His commentaries are so informative. I learned so much about directing and other directors. I love The Informant, first of all.
Yeah,
really
it was
good, completely underrated movie.
Well, it's great because I had met Matt Damon. We had been on Letterman together. And then I had a bit part on Rounders because my friends Brian Koppelman and David Levine, who now run Billions, cast me as a small part. So I kind of got to know him a little bit. But it was fun working with him,
Yeah.
And Scott Bakula and the other guy, Talk Soup host, Joe McHale.
Yes.
And Tom Papa, a comedian that I very friendly. So
Yes.
It was fun to work with them. And then the Smothers Brothers were there.
Oh.
So he had all these comedians do straight parts.
Yeah.
I loved it.
Paul Tompkins, right?
Paul Tompkins,
Yeah.
Patton Oswalt, Jimmy Brogan, and everybody nailed it. Everybody did a good job.
Yeah.
When I love that movie.
Is that a testament to the director sort of set? That it has a certain look about it, a certain veneer.
Yeah.
That everyone is on the same level. It looks great. It's a great looking film.
Yeah, they shot it with those red cameras where they don't have lights. It was all natural lighting.
Uh-huh.
And I'm going, why are we moving so fast? vodcast. I go, oh, right, there's no lights. and there was kind of a get-together every night at the hotel bar because you're out in, middle of nowhere. And I walk in, and Soderbergh's shooting pool, and he looks at me and he goes, shot 7 pages today. And he was all excited. I go, okay, I guess that's a big deal.
Yeah.
But the thing about him is, I mean, he gives you that, he wants you to do that much. I mean, nothing. Because he knows when he sees the tapes, oh, this guy's this guy. This guy can do that.
Yeah.
Be that. Like Ethan Coen. I heard an interview with him, and he said it. And the interviewer said, what do you say to actors? And Ethan Coen said, if I'm talking too much to an actor, I've cast the wrong person.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's interesting. But Soderbergh was great, and he just edited and finished this other movie. He screens 2 movies a night before he goes to bed. You work regular hours, 8:30 to 8:30. It's or 8:30 to 5. He's great.
Yeah.
And he was operating one of the cameras. So he was down inside a car. They cut the scene, but he's down inside a car looking up at me. And I transfixed to, what do you talk when you put one line in front of the other?
Transpose.
Thank you. It's transpose. I thought it was, but I wasn't sure. And I transpose lines, this very short thing, and he's shooting, and he's crouched down like this, and you transpose those lines. I mean, he didn't have, he wasn't looking at the script. He just knows exactly what, he knows everything that's going on.
Did he give, like you said, he gave you very little direction because he knows, but is that...
Slow down. That's what he...
Interesting.
He's shooting me, and I'm having a scene with Matt Damon.
Right.
And first time really I've worked with him, and he has a Dr. Pepper hat on, and he's shooting me like this, and then as I'm doing the scene, after he gave me the direction, I see this. He's shaking his head, yes. That's what I want you to do.
Do you ever get self-conscious when the camera is that close?
Yeah.
And what do you do about it?
I just
ignore it.
Too bad. Really?
Well,
Are you?
Well, it's that, your heart does a little pitter-patter when they say, the only time I get scared is they go, we're putting on the 50. And then I just take a little, oh boy, okay, because that means they're going to be like right on you. And so.
But also, too, you can do, it's all in your eyes.
Well, that's what you have to tell yourself that.
Yeah. I guess.
What about working with Matt Damon in that film? He's such an underrated actor, don't you think?
Yeah. I mean, I think he's, I don't know. He's a pretty respected actor. I don't know if he's underrated, but I think he's one of the top guys out there.
I loved a film that he did this year called Downsizing, which a lot of people said in reviews that I read, he's not doing anything. And I thought that's what he's doing.
Yeah.
That's why I love the film. I mean, he plays a really good kind of schmo. And I think in The Informant, he personifies that. It's sort of the game turning.
I had seen The Informant a couple times. And then, several years later, I walked through the living room, my wife, I go, what do you watch? She goes, The Informant. So I sat down for 5 minutes. I stayed for the whole movie. He is so funny in that movie and subtle that I didn't see in the other viewings,
Yeah.
Or maybe I saw a little bit of it, but I sat down. I laughed more at that movie the 4th time I saw it than the 1st or 2nd or 3rd. Same thing with Hail Caesar.
Yeah.
With the Coen Brothers. It's like any Coen Brothers movie you see, you got to slow your head down and you kind of get the humor or the gist of, even in something as broad as Lebowski, you catch little things.
So did you audition? You mentioned the Coen Brothers. Did you audition for them?
I'm in Vegas. You don't mind these long stories, do you?
No,
like
I want
'em.
them all to be long. Yeah.
I'm in Vegas doing stand-up. I see an old colleague or a friend, a producer that was in the business, not a stand-up. But we're having lunch together, and we're talking. He's asking me about Matt Weiner and Mad Men. How was he in auditions? I go, he was great, very empathetic to actors. And he goes, yeah, my son-in-law just auditioned for the Coen Brothers, and he said they were the same way. I go, oh, when did that audition? Last week. I go, that's great. So I get 10 feet away from the table after lunch. I get on my managers. Did you send me in for that? I think we did. Send me in again. I got to get in. So I was called in, put on the assistant, put me on tape. And then a week later, I was getting ready to go out the door to New York and said, the Coen Brothers want to see you tomorrow.
Wow.
So I stayed. but I did more homework on that character before the assistant put me on tape than I think I've done for anything.
And what was your homework?
Okay, who is it? He was a minister, so who is this
Yeah.
guy? Why is he in L.A.? I wanted to give him a Southern accent, you know, even though it wasn't in the South.
Yeah.
So I made that decision to do that because he was probably in the war chaplain, came back to L.A.,
Yeah.
and was ready to go back to Waycross, Georgia, or Alabama, and
Yeah.
and wow, this is beautiful out here. There's movie stars, Hollywood. And it's in '51, L.A. was gorgeous.
Yeah.
You know, and there's the ocean, and the weather was great. So he got his wife and kids out, and then he started the church out. And they're like, now he's getting a call from a studio. They want his opinion on this movie about the life of Christ.
Yeah.
So I'm honored, yet I feel entitled, and I'm a little nervous. Like I might see Myrna Loy. I just kind of wrote out a lot of things and then thought about it a lot. So by the time they called me back to audition for the Coen Brothers, I knew who this guy was. You know, and they loved it.
Oh, that's terrific.
Yeah. Oh, it's another one off the bucket list.
Well, and so you said again, they're not people that really, they just create, it seems, a great atmosphere and do great casting.
Yeah. It was very simple. It was Roger Deakins was a DP, so that was a bonus.
Amazing.
Seeing him work one camera for the whole scene.
Yeah.
It was a boardroom scene. I thought they'd have at least two.
Yeah.
You know, they had one camera. He moved it around. He operated it. So that was fun to see. The other actors were great.
Yeah.
The actor who played the lead, Josh Brolin.
Oh, Josh Brolin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Couldn't have been better.
Yeah.
Nice.
I love Josh Brolin.
Yeah. And the brothers never said, hey, you did that good. Yeah. All right, let's move on. Let's move on.
Quickly? Like shoot pretty quickly?
No, it's like, no, they get what they want.
Yeah.
They're not quick about it. They think about it. They're over there talking. I don't know what they're talking about. But at the end of the day, Joel Coen got in the car. And they said, all right, guys, thank you. That's a wrap. Blah, blah, blah. We all shook hands. But I didn't shake hands with Joel Coen. So I wanted to go by, just thank him, you know. I said, hey, thanks. And he looked at me and goes, you're going to be very happy. And that was nice. So, and I'm, you know, ever since Blood Simple, I'm a young guy in New York, and I see this movie that just, you know, was huge and so innovative and different. I said, I want to work with these guys one day. So 30 years later.
Who wouldn't?
Yeah.
You've worked with all the shows that I. So you stole my life. You were obsessed with Mad Men, but you got on it. I was obsessed with Mad Men. I never had an audition.
You never had an audition?
No, which I thought was crazy. I thought I was born to be in that show.
You know, well, Illeana, when I watched Carson as a kid, I knew heartache and heartbreak and disappointment were the meat and potatoes of this business.
Yeah.
It was ridiculous because my wife and I, that was our show. Huge fans
The
of
best.
the show.
So good.
And then I go season 2 to audition for the doctor that talks to Peggy after I don't want to ruin it for anybody who hasn't seen it. But,
Yes.
Excuse me, because I'm old school that way. And it was a good thing, but it was a younger part, you know. So thank God he didn't cast me.
Yeah.
And then I got called in to do a scene. Worked in another scene, and that worked. And then my manager saw Matt Weiner at a bar mitzvah, and he walked over and he goes, "Can Allan Havey really act?" And she goes, "Yes." And I'm on the phone going, "Yay! Would you tell him?" Yeah. And then that's when I found out what happened. I won't talk about it now, and it turned into a dream part that only got better every week.
Oh my God.
The experience got better and better and better. And I worked with all these people. Now, you talk about nerves. I was pretty nervous that first day.
Yeah.
They shot all my scenes when I came back for season 7, chronologically, starting at 6:30 in the morning and finished at 8:30 at night. And I knew that, let's say I had just tanked or gotten too nervous and didn't deliver, they would have said, okay, get John Lithgow, or, you know, we got to grab somebody. But the cast was solid, really nice. The crew was amazing. The writing was perfect. The direction was clear. So unlike Hail Caesar, where I had to do this background homework and stuff, I knew who this guy was.
Right.
'Cause he was like my dad and a bunch of his friends. That
yeah.
Same kind of philosophy. Although-
Simmering.
yeah, just like old school, World War II vets. Draper. Draper's is lush. Draper's alcoholic. Guy can't handle his alcohol. Fuck him. I'm sorry. I know iTunes doesn't want you'll bleep that out.
Probably. Luckily, we're not live.
No.
Yeah.
So it was great.
Yeah.
And, it was the whole experience. It wasn't one hiccup.
Another thing I loved about your character. Well, first of all, I'm going to compliment you because we had, we've known each other all these years, and then we did this little stint. We're in my little web series, which was so. But I must say, when I saw you on the show, I said I didn't know he was that good.
Oh,
you were
thank you.
so good, and I didn't know where that character was going.
Neither did I.
I
It was
couldn't
great.
wait every week to see. It was so perverse, and that's what was so much fun about the show. But it was great. Just, oh my God, you were like his Draper's nemesis. I loved it. I think we've all been in that position to have a boss like you, where you've everything is an easy street.
Yeah.
Then suddenly you come in.
Mm-hmm.
And you think you're like the creatives and the whole problem with the world, and I loved
And
it.
I'm an artist. I think of myself as this
Yes.
artist and stuff like that. It was fun. I was voted the worst boss in television history by the New York Post. I'd read comments and people said
Great.
what they said about my character, the things they wanted to do to me. I could
Yeah.
never repeat, but it was just like everybody hated me. It was great.
What was another a good thing about it is that you never got ahead of steam about who that guy was. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
Like sometimes when you're like, oh, this is going really good, I think I'll crank it up and make him even crankier.
Mm-hmm.
Like you stayed on that same simmer.
Well, he was that guy. He was already that guy.
Yeah.
When he just plugs in. Oh yeah, I heard about Draper. He called the Hershey Company a whorehouse. There's, by the
Yeah.
time it got back to Lou, they're
Right.
having trouble over there with that lush.
Yeah.
These young guys, okay, I'll handle them, no problem. This guy with the beard,
Yeah.
what do you beard? Come on, the beards went out in the 1880s. I mean, and the funny thing is, I love the character of Don Draper.
Oh.
I was rooting for the guy.
Yeah.
I just wanted him to get it together.
Mm-hmm.
And I probably identified most with Liz Moss's character
Mm-hmm.
because she came from Brooklyn, Catholic family, got into Manhattan, which was, that's a 10,000-mile trip in
Right.
the 60s.
Mm-hmm.
And I came from Miami. So I felt I really related to her character more than I related to Draper's, even though he was a guy and, he had I was never that guy.
It's an interesting question because I feel my parents were, out of the my dad, believe it or not, was even in the, again the very tail end. He was 17. He was in World War II. So I feel like even though I'm relatively young, I understood my parents were that post-war generation, and then they were hippies. And I feel like that I was very. Do you think our generation is much more connected to their parents than kids are? Kids seem to be such individuals, but I really cared about. I had to read all the books on my parents' shelves, like everything my parents did. You were supposed to go to, Europe as soon as you left high school. Like again, we're talking about rules of show business.
Well, unlike unless it was comic books or when the National Lampoon came along,
yeah,
you had one television. So what your parents watched, you were absorbed. You saw
Yeah,
Sinatra,
interesting.
Dinah Shore, and
Watergate.
well, Watergate. I'm older than you, but old movies.
Yeah.
It was fantastic. I think kids today have not only their own culture, but they can see any show in television history.
Right.
Like this young man I know, he's 27. He's a producer at ABC News. He said to me, I saw this great show. It's called What's My Line? But he had never seen it. And,
Right.
it was a great show. And in college, they showed The Best Years of Our Lives.
Mm-hmm.
He said, it's probably one of the best movies I've ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
So, we kind of make these blanket statements about millennials, but they're in touch with their parents, but only by texting and calling.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they're plugged into their parents' culture. And if they are, it's not a distant culture. It's Led Zeppelin or the Beatles, which is kind of around their old
Right.
songs. I think we were the last of that generation that we were raised with our parents' culture, and then we found our own. Mm-hmm. But your parents turned into hippies.
Well, no, but I related to something you said about growing up a Catholic and you can't get rid of it. Like my mom is Italian Catholic, medals pinned to the bra, goes to, church.
Right.
It's and you can't get rid of it. It's just a part of you and a part of your culture.
The worst person in the parish dies, and they weep. He was a good man, It is part of the culture, and I went to Catholic high school, grade school and high school up till college, and I don't go back to church. I worked in a rectory, so that's why all the scandal about the Catholic Church is heartbreaking. I believe all this happened. But much of my young life and who I am today was formed by some great priests,
Right.
and who didn't lay a finger on me or anybody else. There was no scandals, But yeah, you can't get rid of it. Before I go on stage, I still knock on wood and make the sign of the cross.
Yes.
Just as, and if I forget to do it, big deal. It's more of a superstition. Just more. This is where you came from. Get out there. But it's just kind of like a goofy thing. It's not like I'm back there. Oh, Jesus,
Well, when you said that, I just flashed on the waterfront. You know what I mean? Those great priest roles like that. That's
Carl Malden.
Carl Malden. I think that's my favorite. That was my connotation with a priest. With half in with the hoods and
Right. Or True Confessions.
True Confessions, another good one.
With De Niro.
Yeah.
Who's like the hot priest, and he can raise money and make it happen. At the end, you see him out in the middle of nowhere.
Okay, well, let's talk. I want you to talk a little bit about Easy to Assemble. When we did you enjoy working at IKEA in a live?
Yeah,
When that was another thing, we kept expanding your part. I didn't want you to leave.
Well, thank you. No, I enjoyed it, and I got to work with Ed Begley Jr.,
Yes.
who I've since worked with, and I was directed by
Greg Pritikin.
who I also did the Dreyfus movie he was in.
Oh,
So that was fun. Yeah, I had a good time. It was fun being in IKEA and looking around and knowing I was getting paid for it.
yes.
And I've always liked your work, and I've always liked you, so that was fun.
But again, I cast you as pre-Mad Men, again, I wanted you were the guy who I felt, again, was always passed over, for the job. Like that Eric Lang, was the, manager Eric always
Right.
got ahead, and you were the guy that, we did a funny thing where you would try to explain something for a long time, and then he would just come in and roll all over you. Sherry O'Terry was in that scene.
Right.
We had a lot of, I don't know, you don't remember.
I remember Sherry O'Terry,
Yeah.
but no, I remember the skateboard.
You were in the dating scene, remember? Like we did the
Speed dating?
speed dating,
Yeah.
and you were talking to the girl about your car. We had all
Yeah.
these.
Did I do a good job?
You did a great job.
Okay, all right.
That was so good.
That's
Pull out the
unrelated.
VHS tape of that one. Oh wait, no.
It's such a great.
And I got a Streamy Award.
Yes.
Yes.
Best
The
ensemble.
Streamy, best ensemble. We all did.
We did, and a Webby, and we won many Webby
No, I
awards
didn't.
too.
I
You
wasn't
didn't
a-
pick that one up.
No. I got shoved out.
Okay, we must, because we got to wrap up. Will you tell the punk story with Kanye West? Because you were so in on the Kanye West way before he was.
Well, this is before.
Topical.
Well, this is before his mom died. I think he started to go downhill after his mom passed away. And
Yeah.
That whole thing happened with Taylor Swift. No, they were out. He was out in the desert on a Sunday shooting a music video.
And there's a show which is not on anymore, but
No.
we were all obsessed with, called Punked.
And it was Kanye West. I didn't know who the hell Kanye West was. And I'm a white guy in my 40s. Not anymore, but I was back then.
Yes.
Tomorrow's eyebrow just went up. And so some of his posse knew, and some of them didn't know
Right.
that it was punked. So I had to go, and I was out there for hours just checking generators, like I know what I'm doing. I was playing a film cop.
Yeah.
And, you have your and I called my buddies, Brian and Dave, say your Jennies are running too much. Okay, great. So, they gave me some of the slang. So,
Yeah.
and then finally I grab his tapes and go, no, I'm shutting you down. And he comes over, grabs them out of my hands. And then two of his guys went like this. They put their hands in their pockets. And I said, it ain't on there. If you do a closed caption, you can hear me because there was a lot of commotion. I said, take your hands out of your pocket. I do not have a weapon. You know, I was like, I had like shorts on and
stayed in character.
Yeah. And then they got in the van. They took off with it. And then Ashton Kutcher, that's when he comes out. It's all on the show.
Come running out.
But after that, he was great.
Yeah.
Kanye West, it's a joke, and he took it well. And today, that probably wouldn't happen.
Yeah.
But,
is that why that show went off the air? Somebody would, you know.
I think they made all the money they were going to make. But I got recognized more from that than anything else I'd done prior.
Well, there was the Jamie Kennedy Experiment, which was sort of soft, but Punk'd was like, it walked the edge of really mean sometimes.
Well, I know a couple guys, celebrities, they punked. They go, no, I'm not signing the release. Get the hell out of my house.
Really?
Managers were fired. Agents were fired.
Really?
You know, because they knew about it.
For thinking it was funny?
Yeah, hey, this will be fun.
It was a good idea.
And it was it was the highest rated show on MTV. So I can understand they want to get their clients on there, get eyeballs, whatever.
Right.
Branding before branding.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be nice if they couldn't find you on the internet?
Yes.
There was nothing on YouTube.
I love it.
No Wikipedia page. They Google your name.
Just get your credits.
Yeah. Here's credits. No bio.
Yeah.
No birthday. No wife. Or husband. Not that I don't want my wife, but you know what I mean?
Yes.
I
do.
And then people say, you got to get on Twitter, which I'm not, and I'm going to Edinburgh Festival.
Oh, yes. Yes.
So everybody says you got to get on Twitter to promote that.
Right.
Here's what you do. Go to allanhavey.com.
And you see everything.
Yep.
You see where you are. Just come to see you in a show.
Yeah.
We didn't even get around to the TCM Film Festival. Favorite films from this year's TCM Film Festival?
Leave Her to Heaven.
Incredible, right?
I saw it in Technicolor, and the new guy did the intro with the dark hair.
The new guy, Dave Karger.
Yeah, Kargan?
Karger.
Is it Karger?
Uh-huh.
Terrific, witty, funny, informative, without giving any of the plot away.
Yes.
And Once Upon a Time in the West.
Oh, another great film.
When You Read This Letter.
Yes.
Have you seen it?
Not in a long time.
Great story.
Yeah.
Very well done.
There's so many movies
Blood of Throne. I had never seen it at all.
I never saw that one.
Oh, it was on the big screen. Where were you?
Probably interviewing
It was Thursday night.
Wyatt McRae, or I don't know.
Wyatt McRae?
Yeah, he was the grandson of Joel McRae.
Okay.
So they have you all over the place.
I know.
I was doing different things. It's all a blur. But I'm trying to think of movies I saw. I saw Spellbound, Nitrate. That was a lot of fun just to see that beautiful nitrate print. But I missed Leave Her to Heaven because I was working opposite it.
I know that. Well, they make you have, as a viewer, as a customer.
Yes.
You have to make tough choices.
What was the question? I started the show. There was a movie, and I was with Wayne Fetterman. Was it El Dorado? And you didn't. We went to all see. I believe it was.
No, it was a Swing Time.
Swing Time, was that? What was the movie that you didn't like and he liked? There was one movie we disagreed about.
Rio Bravo or something?
Rio Bravo.
Was that it?
Yes, I mistakenly said El Dorado. It was Rio Bravo.
Yeah.
You didn't like it.
It doesn't hold up. When I was a kid, I liked it. I know Tarantino. I know listen, there's some movies out there that are classics that people love.
Right.
To me, they don't hold up anymore.
Yeah, for me, and people get really mad. I don't really think The Searchers is that great. I'm sorry.
I do, but I understand it. But listen,
it's a bit corny. I like it. I understand. It's got some beautiful shots, but it's a little corny.
For me, it's High Noon.
High Noon, yeah, another cornball.
Great shots.
Yeah.
But some of the acting in that,
yeah,
some of the leads, that was Gunsmoke.
Yeah.
But I understand it's an iconic film, and I know. There are directors now, if they're listening or watching, that are going to turn off their whatever you get this on. I'm gonna look at kittens on YouTube. I'm gonna look at playful kittens on YouTube. High Noon doesn't like. You hear that, honey? Here, I'll play it back. Let me pause it.
Well, you can. There's always films like that that you start to like more. Or I've been rewatching. I mean, I just rewatched The Swimmer, and I was like, oh my God, it's Mad Men. It's got so many elements of Mad Men in The Swimmer. That movie just grows on me every year.
Matt Weiner, I think, had his writers watch movies from that era.
I'm
I'm
sure.
sure it was The Swimmer, and I got to work with Robert Morse.
Oh, the best.
Yeah, so that, if you hang in this business long enough, kids, and, try to be nice to everyone,
Yeah.
you'll work. You'll meet people.
Yeah, I'd have a hard time working with Robert Morris. I'd just be asking him questions all the time.
Oh,
I get irritating after a while.
Well, no, the Mad Men cast was great, and Robert Morris, come over here, sit down, and talk to me.
Aww.
So I went and he talked about Jackie Gleason, working with Gleason on Broadway. I asked him about Guide for the Married Man. I had forgotten Gene Kelly directed it.
Yes. Walter Matthau.
Mark Moses, who was on.
Love Mark Moses. I did a sitcom with him called The Single Guy.
Great guy, terrific actor,
Yep.
good person. I told him, you got to go home and watch Robert Morrison Guide for the Married Man.
Oh, God.
And he had never seen it, so, yeah.
It's so inappropriate
Yes.
to watch.
Oh, yeah.
But it's what the Guide for the Married Man was being made at the same time as Easy Rider. Like that's what
Was it really?
Yes,
Was that
1969. It's so out of touch.
Really?
Yes.
Okay, I thought it was earlier than that.
Well, it came out in '69, I believe.
Tamara, you should know this. Okay.
We'll look it up. People can yell at me if I'm wrong.
Wow.
It's
No,
in the same
movies,
era.
I saw it as a kid. It was totally out of touch.
Theme song by the Turtles.
Really? Look at you.
Yeah.
You're going to kill me on Jeopardy. If I ever get big enough to get on Celebrity
On our
Jeopardy.
next time when you have now you owe me. You have to have a talk show.
No,
and have me
we're
on.
even now.
Oh,
I had you on my talk show back in the early
taking
90s.
all these years.
And now you had me. Thank you. Now we're done.
Thank you.
I don't have to work with you. If I see you on the street, I'll just pass you by.
I mentioned when we were at the farmers market with Paul Mazursky. That was fun. Those were fun times. Except for Ronnie Shell. But no, I'm kidding. He was great.
Ronnie's fantastic.
I know,
Gomer
we love Ronnie.
I'll say this now, and I saw you the first night of the film festival. I haven't seen you looking this good ever. I mean, you always were beautiful.
What's going on?
You just look great.
Oh, thank you. Is it a happy outlook?
I don't know why.
And good hair. I told you so earlier.
I
hair
don't give a
today.
compliment and say, now here's why.
Yes.
Let's break it down.
Jumping jacks and Hail Marys. You're doing something.
All right,
Happy
we're
outlook.
going because you guys can continue
I know
this
we're gonna
later.
keep going. We gotta go. We're way over.
Look
but it
for
was too much
Allan
fun.
in Billions. Also, his website
Yes.
is allanhavey.com. ALLANHAVEY. Check it out because he's got a bunch of stand-up dates coming up soon. Thank you for being with us.
Sure, thank you.
Yep.
For having me.
Also, get Illeana's book, I Blame Dennis Hopper, out
That's right.
on Amazon in paperback. Check
right.
out our Facebook page, the I Blame Dennis Hopper podcast, and the website is illeanaspodcast.com.
That's right. And as I always like to say, everyone's life is like a movie with a beginning, a middle, and an end. And this is the end of our podcast. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Allan. Good luck. Break a leg at the Edinburgh Film Festival.
Thank you.
Make sure you bring a
Not
coat.
film festival.
Oh.
Fringe.
Fringe
Festival.
Festival.
They show movies too. I was there showing them. Film.
Don't blow it for me. It's my first time.
Bring a coat. Bring 2 coats. It's very cold.
Okay.
Everyone have a fantastic day.
See you
Thank
next time.
Bye.
Bye.
From producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire Popcorn Talk Network, we would like to thank you for tuning in. For questions or comments, be sure to visit popcorntalk.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of the Popcorn Talk Network.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of the Popcorn Talk Network or its owners or principals.